Hello, everyone. This is Parul here, and welcome to yet another exciting interview on Amazon Midwife course. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Elizabeth Ann Hamilton with me. Elizabeth Ann Hamilton helps individuals create social media platforms so that they can reach more people with their products and messages. She's worked with coaches, internet marketers, and authors, helping them grow their audience and following across multiple platforms. Her last client campaign resulted in a New York Times best-selling book that beat the new Harry Potter book on Barnes and Nobles. Isn't that exciting? Elizabeth lives in Houston, Texas, and spends way too much time dressed as fictional characters. You can learn more about her services at flyingcircusmedia.com. That's flyingcircusmedia.com, and follow her on Instagram and Twitter as Pookie Galore. So, Elizabeth, thank you and welcome. I'm really excited to interview you because not only you have such a great background, but you were also my personal book coach while I was writing my book. So thank you for helping me out. And I know you are really big with social media platforms, so really wanted to talk more about social platform today. So what is exactly a social platform?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I am so excited for you. You have done just amazing. I mean, seriously, folks, it's been amazing to watch her grow and do all this kind of stuff. So I just,
thank you.
A social platform is your social media presence. It's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, whatever it is that you're on. It's how you present yourself visually. It's your message. It's how you say things. It is making sure that your look is consistent, from your images to your quote badges to your logo, making sure everything meshes so that when people see something, they know immediately, holy crap, that's from Perul. I know that. Your social platform is so important. That way people know who you are and know what you're all about. It helps them make a connection to you. It's really interesting nowadays. It's no longer about, okay, what can this product do for me necessarily? Because there's so many different people producing so many things that are kind of the same. I mean, let's think about Coke and Pepsi. They're both, fuzzy beverages that are brown, right? Caffeinated. Pretty much the same. What, do you have a preference?
I don't really.
Okay.
But maybe Coke, yeah.
Do you know why? Or can you think of why?
I don't really drink that much of, soda, but I think Pepsi, as far as I remember, is a little bit sweeter to me compared to Coke.
Yeah, it is a little bit sweeter. I prefer Pepsi, but that's because my mom drank a lot of Pepsi. So I'm used to Pepsi.
Okay.
What makes it different is I have a connection to Pepsi. So what you're doing with your social platform is you're presenting yourself and your ideas in a way that people can build a connection to you. That way they seek you out when it's time for them to use a particular product or service.
So consistency and having everything same is really important. And how do you do that? Just have the same kind of logo everywhere or watermark? What is like one tip that to make everything look similar?
It's more than just a logo. It's how you say things. Think about someone like Brendan Burchard versus someone like, we'll just go really opposite here, Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
Think about how Brendan Burchard would say, today is a great day. He would probably say something like, today is the best day of your life. Kim Kardashian would probably say something like, yo, my butt looks great and you should feel great today. Or something like that. I mean, that woman seems to be all about her bottom.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going for consistency, you're looking to make sure that you use the same tone, meaning if you're always happy, sound happy. If you don't use contractions Like, for example, you would say do not instead of don't. Make sure to always do that. Stay within the same kind of colors if possible. Look to your logo and try to keep in within, so everything looks almost like it matches. It's okay. It's okay for it to be matchy because you're trying to make yourself memorable, so people will look and associate. You know who actually really does this well is cigarette companies. In Europe, you can't have the brand name of the cigarette on the package. So what they do is they use colors to make sure people know that that is their brand of cigarette.
That's interesting. Yes. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, and people
Definitely.
sometimes resonate to, like, I have a 5-year-old and he knows all the logos, and he looks at it and he says Adidas or Nike and
Right.
Whole Foods. Even before he started reading, he could actually tell me just looking at the logos and the colors and symbols. So, wow, that's a really important point. And why do you think, you know, how does it relate to authors, and why do you think authors need to have it or have a social media presence even before they write their book?
The reason I think that is because book selling nowadays, especially, well, it doesn't matter if you have a publisher or you don't have a publisher. You're self-publishing. If you have a major, random house is publishing you, or Joe's Books down the street. Books today are sold via personal connection. The author, the person buying the book has to have a reason to want to buy that book. It's no longer you're just selling your book, you're selling yourself. So for instance, you have a book on juicing. There are a lot of books on juicing. To stand out from that, you sell yourself and you build a connection between you and people. So people are like, hey, Pearl's got a book out. I should buy it. It's actually quite fascinating. With all of the money that is spent today in advertising, have you ever noticed that, especially online, a lot of that advertising is tailored to your preferences?
Yes.
Have you ever gone to Amazon to look for something and then the next day you've got like an ad for whatever it was you were looking at but didn't buy?
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
What's happening is they are personalizing and connecting to you so that you will want to buy that book and to buy it from Amazon. As an author, you are your biggest selling point, because everything you write is going to be influenced by you. It doesn't matter if it's a fiction book or a nonfiction book. It's influenced by your experiences, your personalities. So give me a reason to know you. Let me know who you are so I can understand you and your book and then want to buy your book.
So as an author, I'm my biggest selling point, irrespective of whether I am with the publisher or if I'm self-publishing. I have to do most of my promotion, and that's definitely a reality in today's times. So how does an author go about creating this social platform? And where do you start? Because it can be really overwhelming for people. There are so many platforms out there.
Oh, Lord Almighty. My suggestion is, if you don't have more than 15 minutes a day, find the platform that you're most comfortable on and stick with that. For some people, that's Facebook. For some people, it's Twitter. For some, Instagram. But choose a platform and stick with it. And then you just start posting. It doesn't matter. Well, I don't want to say it doesn't matter what you post, because if you post something horrible, that could be really bad.
True.
But you're looking to post things about your book, about yourself, about the process, about creation. People love to see behind the scenes. They want to know, like, hey, what's it like to write a book? What's it like to try to find a publisher? What's it like to try to make a cover? Why did you write your book? You're creating a conversation and a dialogue with people, so people feel like they know you. It's like starting a friendship anywhere. I mean, how do you start a friendship? You sit down and you start talking to someone. It's the same thing on social media.
Right. So do you recommend posting every day? before the launch of our book. And
I recommend daily posting no matter what you're doing.
I see. And how much time prior to actually launch of the book should we actually start worrying about, posting daily? Because writing a book and launching it, it's already so much work. So
Right. That's why I say you only really need to use about 15 minutes a day on social media.
Okay.
So as soon as you know you want to write a book, start posting about it.
Awesome. Okay. So start building your platform ahead of time, and even if it's 15 minutes a day, but do something every day.
Right. Exactly. Do a little something. And when people post and respond to you, make sure to like it and respond back to them. I mean, you don't have to be very, hey, thank you so much for loving my book. Let me give you 15 minutes of my entire life story in one gigantic Facebook post. A lot of times when people respond to you on Facebook, they're just looking for a little, hey, thanks for noticing me kind of deal. So just a like and thank you for following me. I appreciate it. And make that reader's day. Then that reader feels good about you and tells other people about you.
Mm-hmm. Great. And how do I grow this social media platform? Because for me, what I have experienced personally is that on my personal page, I have my personal friends who trust me, and I get more business or more likes and shares from my personal page rather than my business page. So are there any tips that you might have on growing my client base or follower base on social media?
Posting every day, interacting every day.
Okay.
If you find that maybe you aren't growing as much as you would like, you can run a Facebook like campaign using Facebook ads for like $5 a day.
Okay.
I mean, that's, $5 a day is, I mean, what is that? That's not getting a coffee at Starbucks.
True.
Another thing is you can also do promotions with other pages and other people. For example, you reach out to somebody who does an exercise page. They own an exercise business. Hey, I'll write a post for you about juices that would be great for after your exercise routine if you'll share it on your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's another way. Those kind of joint ventures are a way to increase your page without spending.
And does it have to be like a small post, or does it really have to be a big blog sort of a thing, or doesn't really matter either? Or
It depends. It depends on the person that you're working with. Some people, they'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll just take like a quick like 10 words post. Or some people will be like, no, I want an actual blog post. It all just depends on what works for you and for them.
I see. And there are so many groups out there on book marketing, Kindle publishing, so on and so forth. And do you think that these groups help, or after your book is released, and if you post about the release of your book on these groups?
I know some people think they do. I personally don't. Just because so many people are posting in those groups.
Absolutely.
I would say join those groups for camaraderie. Don't join them expecting people to buy your book.
Okay, I see. Okay. Maybe some people might be able to download the book if you have a free promotion or running.
Right. If you've got a free promo, maybe, but if you're expecting people, I am in some of those groups that you talk about. And to me, they are just a waste of time.
They are.
A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about your time. It's like one of those things. It's like, okay, is this actively helping me or is this hindering me?
True.
And I'll be honest, I would rather see you spend your time, I don't know, writing a post to go on somebody's page that'll actually see it than making a ton of posts in a ton of different groups that maybe only one or two people will see.
Right. I see. That makes sense. Absolutely. So, I know you just finished a New York Times bestseller campaign.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Wow. Congratulations. That's a big thing. Really huge. And I believe two at the same time? Back to
He actually, it was for Small Data by Martin Lindstrom.
Okay.
It got onto 2 different New York Times bestseller lists. So it made the one for the week and then one for the month. Like,
For a
wow.
month, that's amazing. Yeah.
And we outsold Harry Potter and Barnes and Noble. Like, that's just, I think that's bigger than New York Times, actually.
I would believe that. And, congratulations to you on that. And so, what is the difference between the two, between having a book as a bestseller on Amazon and New York Times? And what is essentially the difference between the two campaigns?
It's scale, a
Okay.
lot of scale. Uh, for your book to be eligible for New York Times, it has to be done by a publisher. So you can't self-publish and you can't form your own publishing company. But
Okay.
don't let that stop you from self-publishing, because there are a lot of books out today that have made the bestseller list that were self-published and then picked up by a publisher after they were found. So I fully, go self-publishing first and get found. But they have to be published by a publisher, and then they need to sell at least 15,000 copies in 1 week.
At least 15,000 copies in one day?
1 week.
1 week. Okay.
Right.
I see. And these are actually the physical copies, I'm assuming, not the ebook version.
Right. So it's a lot of it is selling through Barnes and Noble, selling through physical bookstores. Some of it is companies purchasing the book in bulk to give away to their employees as gifts.
Okay.
But it's just the general scale of it. A lot of the techniques are the same. There's a lot of setting up pages, setting up free gifts, sending out emails to your list, finding partners to promote your book. It's just the scaling of it.
So from my understanding, with Amazon, like each credit card is considered as one new sale, right? But if with New York Times, if somebody is buying the book in bulks, is that considered individual sale, or will they add the number of books that
That's considered individual sales, because
so
usually
if a company,
it's not done through Amazon. So it's usually done through like Barnes and Noble or another company where they count each book individually.
okay, even if you are buying one as one customer, but if you're buying 100 copies, they're considered as 100 sales.
Right, exactly.
I see. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And I mean, okay, so it's a different scale, but do you recommend like, a PR company or a, media release company?
It can help. It can definitely help. One of the, we use the 40A company out of New York City. And Mark Fortier, all he does is he specializes in books. And he was great because he was able to get Martin onto like the Today Show and into like Forbes and Fortune and all that kind of stuff. If you are interested in that kind of thing, you definitely want to get a PR person on your side, a professional PR person.
I see. Okay. So Elizabeth, for a first-time author, who doesn't really have that many books out there and who has, like, let's say, limited funds, not really have all this money to spend on PR and,
Right.
hiring a book coach and, marketing it. So how would that person go about, becoming a bestseller? Is it like really possible for that person to become a bestseller if they do not have any support?
For an Amazon bestseller, definitely.
Okay.
For the Amazon bestseller, and that's actually a great way to get yourself noticed.
I see.
The important thing, you may not have a lot of money. Okay, maybe you don't have a publisher, but the thing is, your book can never be a bestseller if you don't get it out there.
That is true.
So get the book out there any way you can, self-publish, put out the best book you possibly can, run an Amazon bestseller campaign, which I believe Rule is going to teach you how to do.
Oh, thank you.
So listen to her, do what she tells you. Once you get a bestseller status, take a screenshot, then start shopping your book and that screenshot around to publishers. Don't go for the big ones. go for the smaller, lower level publishers. Look up and get yourself a subscription to Publishers Weekly. They have a website that has a listing of like all the publishers in America. Start with the lower level ones, get your book out there, get it to them. That way it's got a chance.
Publishers Weekly. So we just go on their website and
I think you have to be a member, or you have
okay.
to have a subscription to
Okay,
get to the database.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, they have listings of all the publishers in America, and there's more than just Random House and Penguin and whomever, you know. There's all these small publishers that are looking for books, actively looking for books to publish.
Oh, really? Okay. And is it a good idea to go with the publisher, even if you have self-published? And how does it help the author?
It depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
If you want the New York Times bestseller campaign, then you definitely need a publisher. If you're using your book to generate leads and increase your own personal consulting or coaching or whatever kind of business you have, stay with self-publishing, because to be honest, and oh Lord, you should have heard my client complain, but the publisher really doesn't do all that much to support the book.
Mm-hmm.
They'll print the book, and if you're lucky, maybe they'll put like a couple ads out, but that's it. The majority of the work for the campaign is done by the author.
Right.
So if you're not interested in being, well, let me rephrase that. If your current goal is not to be a New York Times bestselling author, go with self-publishing. That way you reap all the money from all of your hard work.
That's true.
Otherwise, you got to split with it. It's like, what did the publisher do? The publisher didn't do much. Keep as much of your own money as you can if you're doing it just to generate leads.
Correct. Yes, that's very important. You know, depends on our final goal. And the key to know here is that even if you are with the traditional publisher, most of the work as an author, you have to do yourself these days. It's you. So any last tip or advice that you might have for our authors?
Just one, write your book. Don't care how you get it done. This beautiful woman is giving you her steps and her ways to get your book done, to get your book out there, to get it published. Obviously, if you're listening to me right now, you've bought the course, so you should do the course. But get your book out there. There is nothing happens until you do. So get the book out there, get your word out, and make Parul proud.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was really very exciting. And I myself learned so many new things. And I always get so much insight after talking to you. So thank you for being such an important part of my life. And
well, thank you. Seriously, y'all, I've known you for like a year now? Yeah.
Yes.
This Parul is one of the sweetest, most genuine people you're going to meet. And
thank you.
If you're lucky enough to learn from her, you know, you are blessed. You're going to learn so much. And just, oh, Lord, thank you so much for having me on, Parul. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. And do not forget to check her out on Instagram and Twitter as Pookie Galore. I love that name. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. Bye, sweetie.
Okay.